know we are already well into February, but hopefully it's not too late for me to still do a belated 2024 Disney pin collection video. I normally do yearly pin collection videos around my birthday in November, since that's kind of close enough to the end of the year, but 2024 was a really not a great year for us. Really, the whole entire last 6 months of it, all 3 of our cats independently decided to get deathly sick at the exact same time, so it was a lot of vet visits and vet bills and all-consuming anxiety. But they're all still alive and kicking, and things are in a much better place now. And I do still like doing these entire pin collection tour videos as kind of a little year-by-year snapshot. Now, while I did get quite a number of new pins this year, as this was my very first year as a magic key holder at Disneyland, and also my very first time attending the D23 Expo in the fall, I also did decide to reduce a number of my collections because, as you'll see, I have a pretty finite amount of wall space here, and I really wanted to focus on the pins that I really like. But as of current, I have 1,683 pins, 97 of which are fantasy pins. So this, as in previous years, is going to be the pretty quick overview. If you have a question about any specific pin, you can either leave a timestamp in the comments below or just send me a screenshot of it on Instagram and I can give you more info on it. But let's take a close look at all my pins. Starting off, of course, with just a little overview of all of the pin boards that I have up here in my office. This is in kind of a loft space, so I only have 3 walls to work with, but I think I make pretty good use of the space I have. And I'm going to start here on this wall with my side collections. So this first pin board on my wall, I'm not going to spend too much time on because none of these are Disney pins. These are all other pins that I've collected, mostly from places I've traveled to, and I've been collecting these type of pins for as long as I've been collecting Disney pins, so since about 2003. But then if we move up to this board here, this is my first pin board of actual Disney pins, and this is shared between Rescuers and Goofy Movie pins. So we'll start with a little overview of all the Rescuers pins on this side. This is all a set of WDI diamond pins. I had them displayed open before, but I needed to make more room on this pin board, so these are all just kind of closed with their hinges now. But at the top, a lot of them are kind of themed to Bernard and Bianca. You have a really cool pin with Penny and Madame Medusa there. And then this pin with Bernard and Bianca is actually a newer open edition pin, but I don't think that there's too much new in terms of the Bernard and Bianca related pins. But at the bottom we have my Madame Medusa pins, and I did get a few new ones in 2024. This pin and this pin I got at the D23 Expo in August. Madame Medusa is such a fantastic villain, and I love when they release new pins for her. And then we're switching over to this side of the pin board with all of my Goofy Movie pins. So there's definitely a number of new Goofy Movie pins I got. This one I don't know if it's technically Goofy Movie, but it's a Best Dad pin with Goofy and Max there. This is from celebrating 100 years of Disney. That's for the Goofy Movie one. I kind of tried to have things themed to a little bit more of like road trip pins up here. Then you have some Max and Roxanne. This is a very newly released open edition pin there. Of course, Leaning Tower of Cheesa. And then this is another new open edition pin. I love that, with them fishing together. Some authentic, some fantasy. That is another open edition pin that came out probably within the last year or so. Then towards the bottom is some more of the Powerline pins. That there, another new open edition pin release. This was, I believe, a limited edition pin that came out in the last year. A Goofy Movie arcade style game. And then I do have enough room for a few more pins on this pin board. Next, we are moving up to the Mandalorian, Galaxy's Edge, and Pandora World of Avatar boards. So in this corner here, I have my Mandalorian pins, and most of them are Grogu themed because Grogu is the absolute cutest. The 2 new pins, I know this pin here and that pin there, these were open edition pins. I love the little sippy soupy on them. Some of these are Disney Parks pins, some of them are licensed, and all of the pins here are super cute little fantasy pins. Then next to it I have my Galaxy's Edge themed pins, and I don't think that I've gotten any new ones in quite a while. They have come out with a few other open edition pins, but they're a little bit similar to these designs. So I don't know how many more pins I might add to the Galaxy's Edge collection. And then in the bottom right corner, I have my Pandora World of Avatar pins. For quite a while, I had this collection without ever having visited Pandora, but I finally got to check that off my list a few years ago. So the ones that I have here are really kind of a lot of like natural environment and rocks of Pandora, since obviously that kind of fits in with the geology side. But of course, I always like to get the attraction pins too. And so many of these have just really pretty designs and colors. And then this hangs on this pin board because I never really have the space for it or anywhere better to put it. But this is an authentic limited edition set of Shanghai grand opening pins that were super commonly faked. So I always find it very satisfying to have an authentic version of a heavily counterfeited set. Then we're moving one more pin board up here to my sweets and snacks pin collection. And I have largely tried to organize this kind of like by the treat and snack. So roughly this is my Dole Whip corner here. I know this pin is new because this was a 2024 limited edition release. Enjoy a sweet treat day. Yes, so enjoy yourself some Dole Whip. And then above the Dole Whip, I have some churro pins. So this I got at the D23 Expo. It's Tigger with a Haunted Mansion and churros. And then this is from the Stitch Attacks Snacks. That's the churro pin set because it was on sale. And I always like to get more churro pins. Above that is kind of cookies and donuts, different pins there. Then it's really kind of a little bit of a mixture on top, various Minnies and Mickeys. Other types of fruits as well. But then in the top right corner, these are kind of my ice cream themed pins. So I have a number of cute different ones with characters and ice creams. And then you get down into more of the baked goods. We have cupcakes, and then we have macarons. These are two of my all-time favorite pins. They both come from Hong Kong Disneyland. And then just some other kind of like sweets, lollipops there. And those are all the sweets and snacks. Now I have the small pin boards above my desk, and this pin board in particular used to be full, but this is where I really decided to size down my Moana pin collection. I do love Moana and Moana pins, but just because I'm working with a limited amount of space, I just wanted to focus on the pins that I really like or that I think are kind of a little bit more unique or interesting. Such as I love the open edition supporting character pins. Those are super cool. And then you'll go up to see the few Frozen pins I have left. So I used to also have a lot more Frozen pins, but trying to be a little bit more focused with what I collect. And again, you have the super cool Frozen side characters pin. And then next to it there is Lilo and Stitch pins, and most of these pins I have had for many years. Then in the bottom right corner here, this is a little bit of spillover from my Geology pin board. So these are kind of sciencey related. These were from a pin event a few years ago, so kind of minerals and sciencey chemistry. And then we have my Cars Land Halloween pin. And this past year I put out a whole long video about the geology of Cars Land. So I was very excited to add that pin to my collection. And then next to it is the full Geology pin board. So there's not too much room on here, which is kind of why I have things spilling over there. But these are some of my most favorite and most unique pins. For anyone who may not be aware, I have a PhD in geology. And obviously I love Disney and Disney pins, so anytime there is a pin that's kind of geologic or earth sciencey related, I have to get it. So I'd say this is by far my most unique pin collection. And then next to that is my framed set, which has my beloved Mickey as a geologist holding up a mouse-shaped geode pin. This is a pin set that I had to break apart because I wanted to wear that pin while giving my PhD defense. But looking at the front, you'd never know. It's only the back that's kind of torn up. Two more small pin boards up here. And this is another pin board that I decided to size down a bit on. This has a very interesting assortment of pins. It's kind of the random ones that I don't really know what to do with. So here we have Brave Little Toaster pins, small but mighty collection. A few Big Hero 6 pins, just because I do like the movie. Then we have a Newsies pin, some High School Musical pins, And then a decently sizable Lizzie McGuire pin collection because they have come out with a number of Lizzie pins. You have the 20th anniversary. This was a Disney Studio Store Hollywood release. It's an open edition pin, a Pin Trader Delight, and this was a D23 pin also for the 20th anniversary of the Lizzie McGuire movie. And then kind of similarly related, I have a Freaky Friday D23 pin there. Then I have a few Indiana Jones pins. Last Crusade is my favorite indie movie. And just a few Belle pins. New one from this year is Celebrate Read a Book Day. My mom was a town librarian, so I grew up and still continue to read a lot of books. And then at the bottom here, these are my Cats pins. Most of them are Marie themed. Her sassy attitude reminds me of our cat Micah. And this is the new one from this year, Best Cat Parent. And then we have the final pin board up here, which the top of this is kind of personal pins. So we have my initials, November birthday. I have all of the states that I've lived in, which it's funny how California is so tiny there. A cute Hong Kong pin I love to craft, which I do. Some kind of baseball, Cubs, Chicago related pins. Random D23 gold member pin from this past year. And then on the bottom here, these are all of my Disney pins about pin trading. So a number of these are new for the 25th anniversary of Disney pin trading. I put up a video short about that. I also think it's funny how similar this pin is to this pin that came out at one of the annual pin events a few years ago. But I think it's fun to have pins about pin trading. And then there's also some random mouse ears there because I make mouse ears. Okay, so now we're at the only pin board that I have on this back wall here, and this is my Pixar pins. So I have a few up pins in the top corner. We have some inside out pins, my beloved John Ratzenberger Voices mystery pin set. We have some Toy Story pins there and some other miscellaneous Pixar pins in the middle. And then the new pins this year is this hidden Disney Wall-E pin set. These were released at Walt Disney World. So these are all my new Wall-E pin editions, and I had to put them up here on this board because, as you will see, I do not have any more room with my Wall-E pins. Now we are on the big wall of pins, so I'm going to start at the bottom here and first work up this direction. So this pin board here is more of my Pixar pins, and like I mentioned with the Wall-E hidden Disney pins, how I didn't really have any room to put them on there because this pin board is kind of at capacity. But we'll start on this side with my Coco pin collection. I love Coco. It makes me cry every time I watch it. This is one of the coolest Coco pins. It's from a pin event a few years ago. Have assortments of some open edition pins there. We have some Disney Studio Store Hollywood pins, some cute fantasy pins there. Nice, nothing is more important than family down there. And then a few puzzle pieces, and then I love this Papel Picado pin set. Then on this side here, we have the Wall-E pins. I love Wall-E so much, but it is harder to collect the pins because a lot of the artwork is kind of similar and they don't come out with new ones too often. But I have some super cool ones like this diorama fantasy pin there. This is a beautiful Artland pin. And of course you got the boot with the plant there. And then next to this pin board, I have my spillover Coco pins. So this is where I have most of the new Coco pins I got this year. The top ones were all from the D23 Expo. This is a beautiful WDI pin with some mini pins. You have a Studio Store Hollywood pin. This has a spinner element in the middle, a really beautiful Remember Me pin with translucent fill. And then these are two large license pins from Pink a la Mode with Miguel and Hector. And from there, we move up to Zootopia. So Zootopia is another one where I have a leather spillover pin board there. But because I have no more space, I did decide to scale back on some Zootopia pins, especially ones that had kind of repetitive artwork or weren't as interesting. So there is not a huge rhyme or reason to how I have the pins displayed on here. This is was a big puzzle putting them all together. But pins on here, a lot of them I've had for quite a number of years, but I have interspersed a few new ones in there. especially when I was rearranging and trying to fit some new ones that I had gotten in. But this here is the current state of affairs. Of course, love Zootopia a lot. A good number of these pins are also from Shanghai Disneyland because they do have a whole Zootopia themed land that has opened. So I'll just kind of slowly go over these and point out some new ones, such as this pin that's from Disney Studio Store Hollywood, which I now get to participate in the California exclusive releases. Then you come to this corner here and you have all of my Pin Trader delights. It's been a long time since they released a new Zootopia Pin Trader delight. There would be a lot more good characters to add, but we have this pin here. This is a very new open edition pin. Cute little Frou Frou the Shrew there. Then we have another new open edition pin. You have Judy and Nick with the crest in the background. The pin set minus the chasers because that was too hard to complete. Mystery pin set of all the other ZPD officers. This is a cute little pin from Korea there. Then at the bottom here, I kind of have some like Farmer Judy ones and another of the new open edition pins, Judy in her meter maid outfit. Then we have a few more Korea pins. The carrot opens to Judy in there. And then the donut pin opens to Clawhauser. And then you also have this newer pin. This is the Zootopia Ski Ball pin. This is also newer. This was released at the D23 Expo last fall. And then I will slide over to the rest of Zootopia pins on here. Ignore the Disneyland 70th. I have no other place to put it. So these other pins / pin sets here, these were also releases at D23. And then there are these adorable diorama pins that are from Shanghai Disneyland. Then this large set of license pins from Pink a la Mode. And this that I am upset with, this is from Shanghai. This was like a pin trading day or event themed to Zootopia. And it looked like it should be a pin, and it's not a pin. It's just it's just a piece of metal. So I have added some thumbtacks there to kind of turn it into a pin. Now that we have covered Zootopia, we can head up to the Emperor's New Groove pins. And this pin board has now become totally filled up, so I had to add some small little pin boards up there. Kind of like the Zootopia, I'll just do a little bit of a pan over. At least with these pins, I largely have my Yzma pins concentrated around here. You'll notice that I also love to collect Yzma as a cat. And just Yzma in any instance. I think she is the best Disney villain. With the Emperor's New Groove pins, I always love how colorful they are and also how unique the designs are. And I love that they still kind of regularly come out with Emperor's New Groove themed pins, such as from this year. This was a DSSH release from the D23 Expo. This was a new set of open edition pins that released. Then going to the bottom and over to the corner, this is the full pin set of Emperor's New Groove pins. And this here is where I have a lot of newer releases. So you have the Ski Ball themed pin. This was from the past Disney pin trading event. Then you have this, and this. They were all released at the D23 Expo. And this is just absolutely one of my favorite pins. The colors are so absolutely beautiful and pretty. This was from a pin event a few years ago. This was a cute little mystery pin. That was a D23 pin. I think that came with last year's gold membership and it was a mystery pin. And then in the top, I have some of my 20-year anniversary pins. Then we go to the tippy top up here, and on this pin board, the 4 super large pins. These are huge. These are limited editions from Disneyland Paris. I think they are so cool. And again, they are so big. And then the other pins, those two there and this Cusco, were newer open edition pins that came out. And then this final little pin board, we have a Llama Day pin that came out the past year. And then these 2 other pins are some more Pink a la Mode licensed pins. Okay, we're getting to the home stretch, I promise. So we're now moving on to my Disney Parks, Resorts, and Attractions pins. So this pin board up here has the monthly kind of attraction or resort themed pin sets I've completed over the past number of years. Minnie and Mickey pins, and then also Tower of Terror pins, since it's a pretty sizable collection and there's no room on the attractions pin board. Starting up at the very top, these are 2 monthly pin sets from prior years. The top is the Crest of the Kingdom, and then the bottom are Cuckoo Clock pins. Again, I love things that are all attractions related. Then you have from the prior year, this is the set of Disneyland attraction poster pins from the monthly series. Then next to those are the pin sets that I completed this year. These are the Bi-Coastal Adventures, where they have a Disneyland and the Disney World for all the shared attractions. So this was the one pin set I completed for this year. We have Space Mountain, Soarin', Haunted Mansion, Tiki Room, which they messed this up. They put the wrong park's Tiki Rooms on the wrong side, Astro Orbiter, the Railroad, Small World, Teacups, Dumbo, Winnie the Pooh, Buzz Lightyear, and Pirates of the Caribbean. And then in this top corner was the Windows of Main Street limited edition monthly pin set from the other year. This again is also one of my favorites. I love the designs. And then this is a little 2025 preview. This is the quarterly pin set I'm collecting from Disneyland. This is the first pin in the series Adventureland. Then over here we have my Tower of Terror pins, because Tower of Terror has been gone from California for many years now. Actually, a lot of these pins are Disneyland Paris pins. So such as this super cute Minnie and Daisy, those are Paris pins, but otherwise a number of them are also some open edition pins. Then you have some other Disney World themed pins like 25th anniversary there. I love Tower of Terror, so that's why I have quite a few pins there. Also the fantastic mashups where you have Yzma as a Tower of Terror bellhop, that is just fantastic. And then some more mixture of open edition pins and Disneyland Paris pins like this Cruella checking in there. A cute fantasy pin of Grogu as a bellhop. But I haven't added much new here recently. Then we move over to my Minnie and Mickey themed pins. I have kind of classic Mickey, Sorcerer Mickey at the bottom, and then I love collecting matching sets of Minnie and Mickey pins. But at the top, I have the entire Walt Disney World pin set celebrating the 10th anniversary of pin trading. So it's crazy that we're already at the 25th anniversary. This was a mystery pin set from a number of years ago, the Disneyland version. Love all the glitter with Mickey. And then we get down to a lot of my Minnie and Mickey pins. A number of these are from the international parks too, but I love having pairs of matching Minnie and Mickey together. So if I ever go for character pins, it's usually these two together. And then the one big new pin is this Mickey pin. This is a super cool jumbo pin there. And then on the bottom is kind of Steamboat Willie themed. And then other like classic Disney with some Walt pins. Walt Disney Family Museum pins, this pin which never stays up, and then a few other Sorcerer Mickey. Okay, now we move down to the main pin board of all the Disney parks, attractions, resorts. So how I have this set up is kind of Epcot pins, Hollywood Studios, Disney California Adventure, Animal Kingdom, and then Disneyland, Disney World with kind of a little bit of a shared bleed over. So we'll just start at the top here. These are Animal Kingdom pins. Not too many, but again, I always like to have a pin for all the different attractions. Then I have my resorts pins. So this is a pin from every Disney resort I have stayed at. And the one new one is Pixar Place, because I stayed there this past fall. Did stay there when it was Paradise Pier, but it is so cute as Pixar Place. Then I have my year dated pins. So these are for all the years that I have gone to Disneyland here. And then we have the 2024 ones. The pin is fine, but I hated the merch design for 2024. And then I, of course, had to get the 2025 pin. Then over here, we have the Epcot pins. Again, kind of same attractions themed. I have their version of Guardians here, even though I've never ridden it. Just kind of preemptively assuming that I will enjoy it. I am jumping down here to this bottom corner with a little bit of Hollywood Studios pins. So again, got some kind of Toy Story Land ones, Runaway Railway. And then this corner here is the Disney California Adventure themed pins. So this is definitely a newer one I got in the last year, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. I love the ride so much. It's a more fun ride than Tower of Terror, but Tower of Terror is a better attraction, I will say. And so those are the things that are kind of the DCA exclusives. And above that, we have some Walt Disney World 50th anniversary themed pins, and then some other Disney World centric pins like Blizzard Beach, Typhoon Lagoon, a number of Skyliner pins, and a Downtown Disney Florida one. Next we have at the top, these are all kind of Disney World specific pins. A lot of them are for the 50th anniversary, since I did go to Disney World during that time. Then I try to have some of the kind of the Magic Kingdom exclusive attractions. So you have this awesome People Mover pin. I love that. Some other People Mover and Carousel of Progress pins. Then this is where it gets into some shared pins. So like you have Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. So this is a mixture of ones for Disneyland and Disney World and just kind of Big Thunder Mountain in general. This is a super cute new one that I like. I also fit in my Fantasmic pins there. Now, I used to have my Big Thunder Mountain pins a little bit more with other Frontierland themed things, but I had gotten too many, so I needed to move it to this open space because I kind of had Tomorrowland here and then Fantasyland below it. So some of these are shared attractions between Magic Kingdom and Disneyland, but then of course you have ones like Mr. Toad. This was a Magic Key exclusive from last year. A number of other cute Fantasyland pins there. Then some Haunted Mansion pins and Pirates of the Caribbean pins, as well as some Indiana Jones Adventure pins. Really nice open edition releases. Other things like Jungle Cruise and Matterhorn. And then this is a lot of Disneyland related pins. I did not get a 69-year anniversary pin, but this is where I have a lot of the Disneyland anniversary pins, some other pretty Disneyland related pins. This one I got at the D23 Expo, super pretty kind of faux stained glass. Other just really cool Disneyland icons. And then one of my absolute favorite pins has the Disneyland Petrified Tree in it, because you know it is my thing that they need to update the plaque so the information on it is correct. And my other Petrified Tree pin, but a pin that is new from this last year, another Magic Key exclusive. This is Chip and Dale and Goofy on the Davy Crockett canoes. I love the canoes at Disneyland so much. And not a new pin, but one that I did get within the last year, a Rivers of America Piece of History. Last pin board below it, but not the last of the pins. This is the carryover of attraction pins. So on top, these are the Splash Mountain pins that I have kept. Most of them I like. They specifically have the Fab 5 characters on them. And then on the bottom are my new collection of Tiana's Bayou Adventure pins. So this pin is a fantasy pin made a number of years ago, but the other ones around it are all the new Tiana's Bayou Adventure pin releases. So this was from the Disneyland opening, and this was the Disneyland Magic Key exclusive, some open edition pins, and then this was a limited release kind of inspired by the concept art. Okay, and as I said, last pin board, but not the last of the pins, because I have my Christmas and Halloween pins, which I only bring out when it is the season. Otherwise, they live in this pin binder. So these are not in any real organized sense, since they're just kind of put back in here for storage. But I think my new ones are here. This was the Minnie and Mickey open edition set, because again, I love my matching Minnie and Mickeys. And then I got a number of Bobble Bar pins this past holiday season. I just discovered the Bobble Bar license pins, and they are super, super cute. Number of pins from other years, and then this was another Bobble Bar pin that released this past year. Got a Small World holiday pin. And then moving inside the binder, you can see more of the Christmas pins that I have here. And then I have one more page of Christmas and holiday pins. And then finally, I have my Halloween pins. What I like to do is, again, I like to get the matching Minnie and Mickey open edition pins that they release every Halloween season. So that's a lot of what you see here. And then these are also some new Bobble Bar pins, because again, I really loved how cute those were. Oogie Boogie Bash pin from First Year Living in California. And then we have the very last of the Halloween pins here. What I need them to release more of are Halloween Town pins. Well, thank you for sticking around for yet another yearly Disney pin collection video. You already got the sneak preview of my first 2025 pins that I got. I did renew my magic key for this year, so I'm sure I'll still get plenty of more new pins from Disneyland this year, especially because it's their 70th anniversary, and for any anniversary or event, you know they're going to come out with a number of commemorative pins. But again, if you have a question on any of these pins, feel free to leave a comment or shoot me a message. But thanks for watching!